This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions, www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio, and I am super excited because I've got another amazing author to talk about. So if you have someone that loves to read and loves fun rom-coms and loves just a great story, I've got someone you need to grab her books. She's got a bunch of them. So if you give them as gifts, your friend's going to be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I have all these books I get to read into the new year. So this is Becky Monson, and she is a mother of 3 young children, and she's a wife, and by night she escapes with reading books and writing, and she's an award-winning author. She uses humor and true life experiences to bring her characters to life. She loves all things chick lit, movie, books, and everything to go with it, and wishes she had a British accent. That's true. That does make days better. She has recently given up Diet Coke for the 50th time and is hopeful this time it will last, but probably won't. I so get this. Reader's Favorite Book Award recipient for 2016, 17, 18, and 19, and you can find her latest book, How to Ruin the Holidays, is out now. You can give Becky a shout on her social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, BookBub, and Goodreads, and you should sign up for her newsletter at BeckyMonson.com. That's BeckyMonson.com, and all the links are in the write-up of the show. How are you today, Becky?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So before we went live and our jazzy music played there, Becky told me that she's in Colorado, which I knew, but she also told me that they had 7 inches of Utah. I'm sorry. That area. She's in mountain time. That's because we were coordinating times to talk. But they got 7 inches of snow yesterday, and then some more today. So
it took me 2 hours to dig us out yesterday, and I'm just looking at my window right now, watching more snowfall. So it's a white Christmas, which is great.
My father-in-law, they lived in Iowa, Des Moines. My husband's the youngest of 3, and my father-in-law was working for John Deere years ago. And, of course, Iowa gets tons of snow. And so he went out one morning very early, like you're mentioning, and shoveled the driveway. And then the snowplow came down the street and, threw it all back in the driveway. And for people who don't know this, when you don't live in those areas, you can't just, throw the snow back in the street. You mean they fine you big time. They don't like that. So, kind of sucks for you if the snowplow puts it back. And my father-in-law's like, that's it, we're moving. Forget it. Can't do this anymore. It's one of those things. Yeah. And I had a friend of mine too in Maine. She's like, I'm getting up at 4 so I can do my driveway so I can go to work this morning. I'm like, no thanks.
Seriously, no thank you. I know. I moved here from Florida, so I grew up in snow, so I'm fine. I actually grew up in Colorado, so you had that kind of right. Okay. But I had so I was used to snow, but then I lived in Florida for 13 years, and when I came back to the West, I was like, oh, I remember why I didn't want to live here anymore. oh well.
Yeah, but did the newness of the snow? I was mentioning to her before we went on, I lived in St. Louis for a while, and being from Central Texas and lived in Dallas, and it ices in Dallas. It doesn't really snow. But so we get up there, and the first time it really snowed, it was these beautiful thick flakes, and it literally looked like powdered sugar was being dropped on the world. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people in St. Louis stay there forever. They go to school there, they graduate high school, they go to college, they stay. People stay. And so me coming in and saying, oh my God, guys, it's snowing. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, no, really, it's snowing. And I'm standing at the window, and they're like, And then it was, oh, that's right, you're not from here. And then I understood a week later why they were like, because you do have to eventually
plow yourself
deal
out
with the huge.
Yeah.
Well, but it's also the huge gross piles of snow that are just in parking lots and at the end of your driveway and on your lawn.
Yeah, it gets ugly with the dirt. It gets ugly really fast. Yeah. We have that issue here. We have deer everywhere where I live, and we're all sick of it because they're just everywhere, and They, eat all of our beautiful flowers. And, I mean, they're gorgeous. But so when people come to visit, like, the deer, and we're like, oh, the deer.
Yeah. We have, I'm in the hill country in Texas, and so, of course, we have a lot of deer, and they're in our subdivision. And, every year it's like slow down for the fawns because we've got to put, some people don't respect even in a residence, in a neighborhood, it's like, guys, slow down, really, you don't have to go 45. It's okay.
Yeah.
But, it's interesting to see all the generations of deer because you're like, oh, I remember that mom. Oh, now and that's, and seeing all the different ones. It's really funny. But there's one buck he's young, and he was walking through our yard, and I went, oh, he was Mr. 6 Point, and now he's Mr. 3 because somehow he lost him instead of his antlers. So,
yes, that happened.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
A little sad. Look, I'm not quite sure how that happened, dude, but okay. Oh, my gosh. Well, we'll see how that plays. So, and I'll keep everyone posted because I'm sure everyone's just riveted to know what happens to this deer. But in the meantime, while we're yes. I'll see if I can grab a picture of him. And then there's a couple of them there. We call him by like Mr. 10 Point, and Mr. 6, and so Mr. 8 Point. So we all know, who's in the neighborhood. So it's interesting to see, these especially the bucks, because obviously they have the big racks and everything. And so it's just very interesting to see them getting bigger and bigger and, that kind of thing. So it's kind of fun in a way, but yeah, they do. They eat all their really pretty flowers. We've had to put up cages on top of our bushes, and yeah. And then one year we had our dogs were in the backyard. We had labs at the time, and they're standing there and they're acting kind of weird, and we were like, what's going on? Because we have wrought iron fences, and we went in the backyard, and there was a fawn in our backyard, and it wasn't very old, and the gate wasn't open. So we weren't sure how it got in, but apparently it squeezed between, like it was small enough that it could squeeze between. But the big thing it was doing was we had blueberry plants in these huge wine barrels, and it was ripping off pieces of those branches and passing them through the fence to the adults.
So you've got some genius here on your hands.
It really was. And we're standing there going, okay, I know I should be upset, and yet this is really quite brilliant.
Like, I can't even be mad. Yeah.
It's just like, this is really ingenious. So, but yeah, we're like, okay, you've had enough, bye. So we opened the gate. It was like, see you later. So like, you're done.
Oh,
and then, of course, you look at your dogs and like, and what were you doing? Nothing.
Yeah. Great guard dogs. Amazing.
Yeah. Well, they're labs. They're like, yeah, whatever. So much fun.
Funny.
So tell me, you've got a ton, for anybody that you're a new author to them, and it's fun because when anyone finds a new author and they've got a pretty good-sized backlist, it's like, cha-ching, like it's so nice because you're excited because you get to read all of these books. And so tell me, what was the catalyst? I mean, I'm guessing you were a big reader growing up and different things, but what was your catalyst to sit down and say, you know what, I want to write? I want to write a book, and I really want to write it. I don't want to say I want to write 4 pages, and then I'm like, this is hard, Like, what was your catalyst?
This is actually a funny story. I actually never set out to write a book, but I have one of those personalities where I'll see things that people do, and I'll think, I could do that, and then I'll try them, and I'll be like, oh no, I can't do that. But
yeah, I thought about that when I was watching School of Chocolate. I'm like, yeah, no, I can't do any of that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so I had this idea kind of come to me for a book, and I'm a big reader. I love to read, and I love rom-coms. That is my favorite thing to read. So I just was like, I had this idea for this book come to me, and I thought, I'm never gonna write that. It's just not my personality. And then I had this job where it was just me and my boss in a satellite office for this construction firm. And it was so boring. And there was nothing to do. And I would go in every morning and ask him, I'm like, what do you have for me today? And he'd be like, nothing really. And I'm like, so I'm just manning this desk all day. And so I thought, I'm going to write this book. And then at the end, I'm going to put the manuscript on his desk and be like, this is how bored I've been at this job. I wrote a book. That's how bored I am. And, but I never finished it. I started and stopped. I don't know. My first book, I probably started and stopped 50 times. I would write and I'd be like, oh, this is good. And then I'd set it aside for a couple of days and I'd come back and I'd say, oh, this is just awful. And then I'd get pregnant and I was sick and not creative and have a baby. So, I mean, this was like, it took me 8 years to actually finish my first book, just off and on of, playing around with it and trying and then having a baby and then coming back to it. Anyway, so I did eventually finish it. It took me like 8 years to finish the first, half, and then 3 months to finish the second half. Once you got the groove going. Once I finally determined, this was happening. I'm going to finish this book. And honestly, my first book I even dedicated to my type B personality who finishes things or who starts things and never finishes them, as my husband can attest to. And so I really honestly wanted to just finish something I started that was creative. Creative brains, we do that a lot. So, we do. I really, that was my only intention. I was going to be a one and done, and that was it. I wrote the book, finished it, and then it started selling, and then that kind of catapulted into the idea for sequels, and I'm now 11 books, writing my 12th book right now later. So. Okay. Well, so is that, was your first book 32 going on Spinster, or was that, okay. Yeah, so you hadn't planned for a series. I had not, no. And unlike most authors, their first book usually sits, under their bed or in a drawer. I released my first book. So, of course, there was so many things that I did wrong, but I was a big reader. And so I probably got it right by accident, enough that people wanted to read it, obviously. But, I did a lot of things that I would never do now. I info dumped in the beginning and, things like that. But it worked for that book, so it was fine. But, yeah. So you have 3. So you have 32 going on Spinster and 33 going on Girlfriend and 34 going on Bride. Do you have other books coming for that series, or have you wrapped that up? I do have a whole idea. Heavy sigh. It's like, well, I was going to leave it, but then. I know. I have a whole idea for a 4th book, and I have, told my readers that I would eventually do it, but like every time I sit down to get back into that world, I'm like, my muse is like, oh, but look at this shiny object. So I never, I always have something new I'd rather write instead, which is terrible because I really did love that series. But for now, I think it's just going to stay out as it is. And then maybe, who knows, maybe down the line I'll write just a little novella it's wrapped up, so it's not like I need to, but I had an idea for a 4th story, so maybe someday. Yeah. Well, something you could do is you could do that for your people who sign up for your newsletter, like a freebie. That's true. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. So you could have all those peeps like sign up for newsletters and get free stuff. I mean, everybody wants free stuff. Yes, you do get a free novella if you sign up for my newsletter right now, but that would probably entice more people. It might. Yeah. It's like you can say, hey, you might want to know. And so then you did the 3, and then what was your muse for the next book? Because you have your like Just a Name, Just a Girl, an Accidental Text. You have these different, very cute ones, and then you've got some others that they're not necessarily part of those series. Like they're separate, correct? Okay, yeah. So that's just one series, and then the next book I wrote was Speak Now. But actually, Speak Now came out in the middle, in between the first and second book second and third book of Spinster, and that one, my muse for that one was Taylor Swift. Oh, fun! I fully got the idea from that book from her. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
That's my advice to authors out there. I'm like, listen to Taylor Swift. She's got some really, her music just inspires things. Anyway, so that book was kind of inspired
She's got
by
great
that.
lyrics for sure.
She does, and they're just so, she's just good. Anyway, yeah, that was inspired by that. And then my next series, I started with Just a Name and then Just a Girl. And there's actually a third in that series, which I'll be writing this year, which is Just a Friend. And then from then on, I think I'm just going to do standalones for a little while and just see. I really like doing standalones. It's a lot less pressure, you know.
Right. Well, but
you
know what always happens, though? Yeah. I mean, it always happens is somebody goes, but what about this character story?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you accidentally write a series. That's what I say. Like the accidental text, that was a one and done. But I've had so many people send me notes about her best friend Hannah or whatever happened to so-and-so. And I'm like, well, shoot. I don't know. Maybe I'll have a story. So who knows?
It's really it's fun how fictional characters really speak to us because, I mean, it's obviously escapism. We all know this, but it's just fun because the people that we connect with in books, it's like, oh, I know that person, or I know someone who's done that,
exactly.
or I've done that, and or thank God I've never done that, but I've feared doing that. You know?
Right? Yes. Yeah, and I tell people
a lot of that.
Funny. Yeah. I tell people it's funny that when I listen to other authors interview and they talk about how these characters just like came to life in their head, and I thought that is, ridiculous, and you should probably seek help or something, like. And then I started writing books, and I'm like, no, they weren't kidding. Like they really do start talking to you, and you feel a little crazy, and they won't shut up. And that's how a book usually comes to fruition for me. Is that it'll start. A character will just start kind of nibbling away at my brain like, ooh, this sounds fun. And then they just start having conversations, and then they just won't shut up until I finally put it on paper. So.
Right. And it's weird. It comes at weird times. It shows up at very strange times.
In the shower.
In the shower, when you're driving, and when you're trying to go to sleep. And you're so tired.
Anytime paper is not easily accessed, that's when it comes.
Yes.
Or some ways to not write things down.
I used to keep, when I was single, I'd always keep like a notebook next to my bed, and would write. And 9 times out of 10, I would write. But then I was like, what is this? I don't even know. Did I try and write in like another language? Is this Sanskrit? I mean, I'm not even sure,
Yeah, for sure. I know. I've done that too. Yeah. I'm like, what was I trying to say?
Yes.
Or
like,
the biggest lie you tell yourself is.
Yes.
What's that?
I was like, this obviously was just basically astounding for me to write down, and then of course it has no meaning this morning, 0.
Yes, and I was going to say the biggest lie you tell yourself is, I'll remember. You never will remember.
No,
I don't need to write this down. I'll remember it. You don't remember. You just never do.
Yeah, you don't. You really, really don't. And but we keep convincing ourselves that we will, and it never happens. No.
Nope.
It's like, come on, guys. It's really, honestly, never, ever going to happen. Like, never, ever, ever getting back together. It's never, ever, ever going to happen, right?
Right,
so,
exactly.
So tell me about your latest. Tell me about How to Ruin the Holidays.
So my friend Jennifer Peel, who's an author, we've been kind of toying with the idea of, of writing Christmas stories that were companion novels. So not necessarily sequels or anything like that, but just like went together. And so she had this idea for her book, which is The Holiday X-Files, which is such a fun book. And her main character's name is Cammie. And so Cammie's best friend is Mara. And that's how I came up with my book. So it's kind of like, goes along with her book, but not really. Like, you can read them both separately. You don't even have to read them together, but they're fun if you want to stay in that world. And, you know, anyway, it turned out to be really such a fun project. Like, we had such a blast doing it. And my book is basically about a woman, Mara, who goes to a Hallmark town. She's kind of like anti-Christmas and anti-Hallmark, and she goes to basically what's like an actual Hallmark town and get stuck there. So I took all the tropes from, like, all the major tropes from Hallmark movies, and I just shoved them in this book, as many as I could put in. And so it was really fun. It was just a fun book to write. She's a super fun, sarcastic character. And it was fun.
Oh, wow. So Jennifer Peel, it's P-E-E-L, and it's the Holiday X-Files. Yes? Goes along with yours. Okay. So I will put that link in the write-up of the show for y'all, so we make sure that both y'all, people can pick up both books, because they really should. I mean, they really should, right?
Yeah, it is fun. Yeah, it's fun to read them together, but, yeah, you don't have to either.
Well, I know we don't have to, but we probably should.
Right. It definitely makes it more fun.
So I see that you do a really good marketing for your stuff. I mean, what do you think has been the hardest, the most challenging for you to market for yourself? Because I think a lot of people don't realize, and I've mentioned it before on the show, that, you know, yes, if you have a publisher, they will do an initial, like, you know, hello, here's the new release, and then you're really kind of on your own for the build-up, and then, you know, anything after. Even if you're like a really big author, you're going to get a pop of advertisement, and then you're really on your own. So what is it that, you know, what do you find to be the most effective regarding your marketing for your books?
So for me, I would say there's a lot of things. The thing that's crazy about publishing is that it changes so often. So
every day.
You know, when I first started, every day. When I first started writing, Twitter was where it was at. Like, Twitter was amazing. I could put out something about my book on Twitter and sell like 300 books in a day. It was just fantastic. And now you can't even get, you know, you have a hot second to talk about your book on Twitter and it's gone. So Twitter is no longer the place for books. And then Facebook was the place to be. And Facebook still is, but they're having their own issues right now. And, you know, my biggest challenge for me with marketing is that I think, you know, what works for me is what works for everybody. And you forget that we all have different personalities and different, you know, so it's hard for me to, like, you know, look at something and say, oh, this would never, you know, I'll look at an idea somebody will put past me for marketing, and I'll say, oh, that'll never work. And it's because it wouldn't work on me, but it doesn't mean it wouldn't work on somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, billboards do nothing. Yeah, billboards do nothing for me. I don't even really notice them. Billboards do not advertise to me. However, billboards sell, obviously, because we wouldn't have them if they didn't. So it's, you know, understanding how other people work and think and getting into other people's heads. And so, you know, most effectively for me, though, is just putting myself out there, talking to people every day, newsletter swaps, getting in other people's newsletters. And word of mouth is still by far the best way to sell books. So people are talking about you, you're going to sell. And the greatest community you can get into is the Bookstagram community on Instagram, because they talk about books all day long. And so you get in with them and they just will talk about you, which is amazing and wonderful. I just love that community. Yeah.
Well, and there's also my daughter, I've got teens, and of course I get a lot of stuff about TikTok, and the book talk groups are huge. It's just knowing how to, and my kids are like, okay, Mom, over the holidays we're going to make a bunch of stuff for you, so, you know, you have all this stuff to kind of throw out there, because it's so fast that you really have to be marketing constantly. So your ideal is to sit down and make multiple things in a day or two, and then be able to just like flip them out there. So
just slowly. But I haven't even gotten into TikTok yet. I need to, but
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, another thing. But I do. I need to. I know I do. Just doing it is going to be the issue.
Right, and I think it's just like anything. It's just like, okay, so how do I work this? And then once we've figured it out, once we've done a decent job, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do this. But
right,
but yeah, it's just the process of it. Yeah, and then of course
then the world's moved on to something
YouTube
else.
Stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And so, but you're right. I think it's true. What works for this series wouldn't work for this other series, and that author may be not comfortable with, this or that. So you have to find what works for you, for sure. Newsletters are just kind of a given. You absolutely should. And I think, too, like you're saying, word of mouth, but always be looking for authors to promote just because you can.
Yes.
Like, so-and-so has a book release today, congratulations, because you've seen it. Readers are really loyal. And, if they see you doing a shout-out, they're like, hey, I might check this author out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's constant. It's constant.
It is
always moving target.
It's constant. Mm-hmm. Yes, and my brain just wants to write, but I have to spend probably as much time marketing as I do writing. It's 50% in each place, and so it's a lot, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah, and it's definitely a different mental space for each of those, for certain.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what is on your agenda for the new year regarding new projects? Do you have something that you're working on? Do you have something you're editing? Do you have something you're thinking about?
Yeah, no, I'm currently writing a new book, and I don't really have I sort of have a title for it, but I'm not sure yet. But it's about a girl who meets she doesn't like musicians, and she meets one at a party. Her father's a musician, and her name is Luella, and he likes her name. She does not like her name, but he likes her name, and he writes a song about it, and it goes platinum. And
oh, wow.
Anyway, so, and I kind of based it a little bit on Hey There, Delilah. That's sort of what happened with that song.
Right.
He met her at a party and wrote the song, and it, he won all these awards, or the band did, and then but they never got together, and I was like, well, that's really sad, so I'll have mine get together. I'm going to write it the way I want to.
Right.
But of course, once you start writing, it never goes the way you think it's going to. So it's been fun, though. It's been fun. And he's from a boy band, and I love boy bands. And it doesn't matter my age or what the boy band is. I just always love boy bands. And so I thought, this will be fun to write about a boy band. So.
Well, I mean, you have to write what you love and what you love to learn about. I mean, there's no point. I know initially I really fought. I was a nurse for 10 years. I was in trauma and ICU, and I remember people going, why aren't you writing medical romance? And I'm like, I've lived that. I don't want to do that, And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, man, I know a lot about that. So it was easier to write those than it was for me to try to do 3 weeks of research to find if this one thing was correct. So it's
for sure.
Not to say that I didn't do the other. It's just like, I don't know why I'm fighting what I know. It's
use what you know. I know, for sure.
Yeah. So it's interesting. And now it's easy. It's like, oh yeah, throw that in.
Exactly.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, that's good.
So what is your goal each year to write? Is it to write a certain amount of books? Is it, are you just write and then you're done? Is there a pattern? What is your usual goal?
Yeah, I wish I was one of those authors who is just like, I write every 3 months and release that, it really just depends. My muse is, she's kind of mean, and she only shows up when she feels like it. And I'm also, I'm a mom of 3, and they're young. I've got like 15, 13, and 10. So I'm in the throes of motherhood. So that's my first job, really. I always tell people, I'm like,
sure.
My first job is momming, and then I write. And so it really just depends on what life is throwing us, whether I get to spend more time writing. But they're all in school now, and so I am in a sprinting group. We meet every day, and that has definitely upped my game in getting things done. And so my goal is always at least one book a year. I try to do two, just to keep myself relevant. I try to do two, but there was a time in there when my mom got sick and passed away that I didn't write at all for a year. And I thought, oh my goodness, because in this business, you kind of have to keep up or you will lose your place a lot of the time. And I thought, well, that's it for me. How am I going to get back with this? And my fans were wonderful. They really did stick by me the whole time and were great with my next release. So that was such a blessing because that was, a very hard time and it was hard to write. And so I was so grateful that they stuck by me during that time.
Well, yeah, I mean, life comes at you. It's behind everything. You're juggling jobs and kids and husbands and spouses and family. And then it's the sprint group is amazing because for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it means you meet, okay, we're all going to meet, whether it's in person or you're going to meet online, and they're going to say, okay, we're going to write from 10 to 10:45, and then everyone checks in for 5-10 minutes, and then we're going to do another sprint. And so you write as much as you can, and it's not editing, it's not anything. You're just like, for lack of a better word, vomiting it all on the page. Don't answer the phone. Don't answer the phone. Don't answer text unless it's an emergency. All those kind of things, and those things make a huge difference.
Oh yeah, no, I have loved being a part of a sprint group. It's been really fun.
So you all meet every day?
Every weekday. It's exactly like you said. We meet at 10, and it's 45 minutes, and then we chat, and we report back. And it almost becomes like a competition because you can, who wrote the most words in 45 minutes. And then some days it's like, listen, it's been a rough sprint. I got 100 words on the page. But that's 100 more words than I had before, So it's been really great.
Yeah, and one of the things I remember a friend of mine, Linda Carol Brad, she's been writing for years. She one of the things I used to do was derail myself. I'd be in momentum and I'd be like, oh, I need to look. Like I'd put something in. I'm like, oh, is that correct? And then I would get off and look it up and get distracted by the internet in general. And she's like, no, you turn off your internet and you put a notepad next to you, and you just say on the screen you go, insert here, blank, blank, and you have to highlight it or whatever to keep your place. You write down your notes and you go. You keep going. You don't, get out of there. And so there's all those little tips from other writers, that have been extremely helpful. What are some of the ones you love? What are some of the ones that have really helped your productivity?
The one you mentioned is probably the biggest one is the internet, social media, all that stuff. And just, it's such a draw and, almost an addiction. It is, to be honest, that little hit of dopamine you get when you pull up and you've got a new message or whatever. And so staying off of that is key to writing, to getting things done. That's definitely worked for me. I also will lock myself in my room for a while and just tell the kids, okay, just let me have this time. And, I'll be out and I'll be all yours if you give me this time to get this done. And they're usually pretty accommodating, especially when I have a deadline. But yeah, the biggest thing for me and the biggest challenge for me is probably social media and the internet. Staying off of those things is hard. Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah.
So
I know that I've had friends
laugh
that just,
in our.
Yeah. Go ahead. You've had
sometimes in our sprinting group we'll laugh because we'll catch each other on social media while we're supposed to be sprinting. So we'll be like, are you supposed to be sprinting? Somebody will post something and then they'll be like, I think you're supposed to be sprinting right now. Anyway, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. They'll call you out. And it's good though, because, you're supposed to be productive and keep helping each other succeed is the big thing. I've never quite understood, and I know it's a human nature in a way, but I've never quite understood people who go out of their way to rip some other author up. And I get it if it's something, well, I'm not even going to give an example, but if it has to do with their own success within their, they wrote this book and everything. And this is my example. A lot of people went off about 50 Shades, right? And they were all like, my gosh, this book is not, this book is, fill in the blank of whatever. And there was you could see a lot of people making really snarky comments for the sake of making snarky comments. One friend of mine said, even if you don't like the book, she sat down and she wrote it, and she banked on it, and she ran with it. So,
right.
Give her props for that, because we all know how hard it is to write a stupid 300-page book. It's like, well, that's fair,
right? Yeah. I find it so, especially in writing, it's so disheartening when other authors tear each other down, because with books, there's room at the table for all of us, because readers will read a book that we worked for months on in a day, and in one sitting. So they're looking for books and books and books. So there's room at the table for all of us. We should be supporting each other no matter what. And I understand jealousy gets in the way. That happens. It's human nature, unfortunately. But it's so disheartening when other authors tear each other down, because like you said, we know how it feels. We know how it feels to put those words out there. And we should be on each other's, we should have each other's back all the time. Like, we should be, just supporting each other. It's pretty sad when that happens.
Well, and a branch of that, too, of course, is when you see somebody has put something in a book that you find offensive or was told incorrectly, like say someone says they can understand someone's point of view and they really just got it very wrong. Right. It might be a benefit to reach out, one-on-one. Now, not every author is going to be receptive to that. I mean, we all know this.
Right, yeah.
But I think a good way to start is to reach out. Now, again, I'm coming at it from a very different point of view. There might be someone out there going, you don't know what you're talking about, and that's fair. That's very fair. But I would really love it, and this is me, I would love it if somebody saw something in one of my books and they wrote to me and said, you may want to reconsider writing this because, and I'd be like, oh man, sure. Right. Let me hear your side. So now if you're just going to call and say, I hate your book because, you have this, because you have, what was it? One of my reviews was 1 star, just ridiculous amounts of sex. And so somebody wrote after that, oh, well, I'm definitely not going to get this book now. It was just like, it was so fabulous.
Yeah, that probably sold you more books than anything else. Yeah.
It did. Yeah, I have a friend of mine, Tara West, who she got this review that was like that. It was like, ridiculous amounts of sex in this book. It's terrible. 1 star, and she used it for ads, and she sold so many books.
Yeah, that's genius. Negative targeting. Yes, it's amazing.
Thank you, Mr. 1 star.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, it is frustrating. This business is hard. Now, constructive criticism is always welcome, and the way you say it is great. Like, if you can approach somebody like, just so you know, I learned this, and I just wanted to let you know. That's totally welcomed. But just to be like a know-it-all, and the internet is so amazing. It's amazing in so many ways and so great, but also it's so hard because people's opinions that you would never know, you now know. And we all read our reviews, most of us, and we see the things people say, and sometimes they're just so awful, and you're like, you kind of have to take a step back and be like, hey, that's a reflection on that person, not me. A simple, this was not my cup of tea, will do. I don't need to hear, unless it's constructive, that you thought this would work or this would work in the story, whatever. But if it's just like, didn't work for you, then that's all you need to say. You don't need to go off. And I mean, Goodreads is, I don't know if you go on Goodreads, but it really is not a good place. It's not a healthy place for authors. People are
really
so
isn't
awful on there. No,
and there was somebody who posted the other day, and by the way, do not tag an author when you give a bad review.
No.
Please don't do that.
Absolutely.
I mean, they'll find soon enough. Now, my mom will go on and read. She's kind of like my gatekeeper. So, that's my dog. She will go, did you see that review? And I'm like, no, Mom, I didn't see it. I'm not going to look. I don't want to see it.
Right.
But one in particular, she called me, and she's like, "Did you see that review?" And I said, "No, Mom, I didn't see it." She's like, "Do you know who that is?" And I said, "No." She was one of her neighbors, and she was so mad because I know, and she was so mad because the woman was like, "Oh my gosh, I just love your daughter's books; they're so great." And then she gave me this scathing, awful review, and she's like, "I know that's who that is." because the name, they'd signed up under, she's like, "I know exactly who that is," because I guess it was her same email, maybe.
Right.
And my mom's definitely not a paranoid person, but I was like, wow. That's
I love
lot.
that she goes all mama bear for you, though. She's still got your back all these years later.
She
right?
does. Oh my gosh, it's funny. So but yeah, I mean, and everybody writes that book that they so love, and that first awful review is just like a stab in the heart. So take heart knowing that, everybody has.
I did worry.
Now, if they keep saying that you have something that's like racially offensive or offensive to a certain group of people, you really might want to look at that. You really might, and then reach out, do your homework, talk to people, keep an open mind, because we all want to write a book that's a good story. But if people are, we all want people to feel good after they've read our books.
Exactly.
And if it's really hitting a lot of people are stepping in and saying something, just take a peek at that, please, and look at it. And it's okay.
If
we're all learning.
If you're getting this, if you're getting the same review that's saying, "Oh, this was da-da-da," like I would say in 32 Going on Spinster, I was getting some comments that I had fat-shamed a character, and I find that personally for myself absolutely appalling. Like, I didn't mean it that way, and the character grows throughout the book and realizes her error. But I went in and took all that out. That's the beauty of self-publishing. But I took all that out and just changed it so you could still have to see the character growth, but because I thought that's offensive to myself, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. So it was such an easy thing to fix, and I was grateful for that feedback.
Yeah, and it's interesting because one of my very first books, there's a character in it that she's awful. She's an awful character. We all know it when we're reading about her, and she purposely fat shamed someone. And so it was interesting because this was like 6-8 years ago, and somebody wrote in my critique or in a review, "Nobody acts like this." I'm like, yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
But
sadly,
I didn't write that.
They do.
It's like,
I know you can't. It's a bummer.
No, and that's another thing. Authors do not respond to reviews like that online. Just walk away. Just walk away. If you want to reach out to the person privately, you can. But even then, be very cautious. So
Well, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's hard not to.
It's a learning
you have
process.
Words. Yeah. You have things you want to say. You have defense of yourself. You're like, oh, I just really want to. But it's just the best just to let it go and move on.
Yeah. So it's interesting because there's so many wonderful books out there to read. I mean, it's just a wide open place, and it's a well written story is always welcome. So,
absolutely.
Like How to Ruin the Holidays by Becky Monson right now. Yeah.
And then
there you go. It's a good segue. And then the Holiday X-Files by Jennifer Peels is a companion book. So, pick those two up, and then you've got some other books. And then what's even great is like you've got Jennifer's list and you've got Becky's list. And so that e-reader is going to be full for yourself or if you choose to give it to
Jennifer
your
has a lot of books. Yes. Pass that on. That'd be amazing.
Well, thank you so much for being on today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I've had so much fun. It's so fun
getting
to know you, and I loved it.
Well, I hope that you're able to dig out of your driveway very easily today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Maybe you just get a flamethrower.
I know. I really wish that was a thing.
Yeah. Believe me, if someone could market a flame-throwing, snow thing, they would have by now. They would have.
Yeah.
There might be a lot of other issues going on with that, but it would have been merciful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone, for being here today. This is Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio. I have been talking to Becky Monson. You can find her on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, BookBub, Goodreads. Sign up for her newsletter at BeckyMonson.com. I've got links to all the write-ups of the show, and her most recent release, How to Ruin the Holidays, is out now. So pick it up. Thank you again, Becky, for being here.
Thank you so much. So great to be here.
Absolutely. And everybody stay safe and keep on reading.
This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions, www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.